I think it's important to constantly look in the mirror to determine who we need to be as leaders, but we also need to make sure that we're looking outside the window, because who we are, who we need to be as leaders should be grounded in who we are actually serving. What's going on, aspiring school leader? I am Dr. Donovan Smalls II, and welcome to Beyond the Classroom. I help aspiring school leaders navigate interpersonal and organizational complexities for greater instructional impact. And I believe that you cannot get instructional leadership right if you don't lead people and the organization well. So today we're going to be talking about leadership is both a mirror and a window. And I started really thinking about this concept because I was watching a podcast called The Pivot with Ryan Clark, Fred Taylor, and Shannon Crowder, and they were interviewing head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin. And they asked Mike Tomlin, they were having a conversation on their podcast, and they were talking about Mike Tomlin being such a great leader, demonstrating these exceptional leadership skills. And Ryan Clark was saying, Coach, you had a solid season last year. You have some veteran guys on the team, but who do you need to be this season in order for you to get your players to optimize who they are in terms of their particular skills and then have a great season? And the answer that Mike Tomlin gave was simple, but I think it was really profound. He said, I need to be whoever these guys need me to be. And I thought that was so profound because sometimes as leaders, we can get so caught up in this self-reflective cycle, which I think is extremely important. But I also think there's an aspect that's often overlooked, and that is our ability to also look outside the window at the people that we're actually serving. So leadership is a mirror in terms of us being self-reflective, but it's also a window in terms of us looking and having an outward approach to our vision, right? Because a lot of times when it comes to being leaders, we're constantly thinking about leadership styles, right? Am I a transformational leader? Am I an adaptive leader? Am I a situational leader? Am I a servant leader? And I really ascribe to servant leadership, and that is because servant leadership is talking about the individuals that you serve and who you need to be in order to effectively lead the people that you serve. I think that a popular leadership style is transformational leadership, but guess what? What happens if you are an aspiring school leader and you go into an environment that doesn't need transformation? Who do you need to be? I think it's important to constantly look in the mirror to determine who we need to be as leaders, but we also need to make sure that we're looking outside the window, because who we are, who we need to be as leaders should be grounded in who we are actually serving. Because if it's not, then we can constantly go through this cycle of, I need to be this type of leader. I can get bogged down in a leadership style, right? Not talking about character, not talking about integrity, because those are concrete aspects of leadership in terms of who you need to be. But how you show up every day might look different based on the people that you serve. So think about this. If you are an aspiring school leader and you want to lead at an elementary school, that might look very different depending on if you're leading at an elementary school versus a middle school versus a high school. And I can tell you firsthand, because I had experience leading at a high school and now I'm at a middle school, and I had to show up very differently for the students, very differently for the teachers, very differently for the community because of the context. We have to look at context. And context means that we're not solely focused on who we need to be in terms of our self-reflection, although that's important. The overlooked aspect is looking outside the mirror, looking outside the window at the individuals who we're actually going to serve. So I'm going to give you 4 leadership principles as it relates to leadership is both a mirror and a window. So number one, self-reflection and personal development, right? So looking in the mirror is going to cause me to be self-reflective. I'm going to be thinking about who I need to be in terms of my leadership, right? I'm thinking about the beliefs and values that I have, and I'm going to bring that to the table each day. It's an introspective practice, and it's going to foster accountability and personal growth, because I'm a firm believer that personal growth should always precede professional development. Who I am as a person is going to be amplified when I become a leader. And you must always remember that, because who you are as a person, if you are somebody that's selfish, that's going to be amplified when you become a leader. If you're somebody that's selfless, that's going to be amplified when you become a leader. If you're somebody that's humble, that's going to be amplified when you become a leader. If you're somebody that is constantly catering to your ego, that's going to be amplified when you become a leader. So I'm a firm believer that personal development, personal growth must always precede professional development. Number two, looking inside the mirror is going to help me to have a certain level of emotional intelligence and self-awareness. You must learn as an aspiring leader to recognize and manage your emotions while also understanding the emotions of others, because there are going to be experiences that are going to test you. I don't care how patient you are as a leader or as a person. When you step into a leadership role, you will be tested. Your patience will be tested, right? And it is your responsibility as a leader to be able to effectively manage your emotions. Let's say you might have a difficult conversation with somebody, with a colleague. It could be a parent. It could be a student. It could be a heated discussion that you have. And then you have to walk into a meeting and lead other people as if that previous conversation never happened. And it's important that you understand that managing your emotions and having a certain level of self-awareness is critical to your leadership. If that means that before you step into the next meeting after having a heated conversation, that you take a walk around the building to cool off, then you need to do that. If it means that before you walk into the next meeting after having a really, conflicted conversation with somebody else, if that means that you need to go into a classroom to see amazing teaching and learning happening to bring you back to your why as to why you wanted to get into the role in the first place, then do that. But emotional intelligence and self-awareness happens when you look in the mirror, because you're constantly looking at how you need to show up each day. Now, when we look outside the window in terms of the individuals who we are leading, number three, we're building collaborative relationships to serve others. We're not building collaborative relationships to serve ourselves, right? We're building collaborative relationships to serve others. So you should focus on actively listening to the diverse perspectives of others and addressing the needs of your stakeholders. So again, you should be spending more time listening and less time talking. Because, and here's a really effective strategy, right? In order for you to actually meet the needs of people, you need to be quiet enough to listen, because they're going to tell you what it is that they need. And once they tell you what it is that they need, then you can go back to the drawing board and figure out a strategy to meet those needs. That's how you become an effective school leader who is also going to positively impact student achievement, positively impact teacher practice, by taking the time to learn who the individuals that you are leading, like what is it that they actually need, by taking the time to actually learn what people need, as opposed to simply assuming you know what they need because you're constantly dealing with self-reflection. You're constantly looking in the mirror. Again, I'm not knocking the concept of self-reflection, because I do think that it's extremely important. But I also think that an underlooked aspect of being a school leader is also looking out the window. And then our fourth principle is being visionary in your leadership and also strategic thinking, right? Any type of initiative, any strategy that you come up with should consider the individuals that you're serving. You should develop a clear and compelling vision for your instructional goals, grounded in the needs of your community. So if you are thinking about the type of instructional leader that you need to be, right? You're engaging in that self-reflective practice, which is extremely important. But you're not considering what the goals are of the teachers that you're actually leading, then you could be self-serving, right? You could literally be going on a hamster wheel of wondering why things are not improving, but it could be because your focus is off. It could be because you didn't actually take time to look outside the window at the individuals and ask them, what are your instructional goals? How can I support those goals? Because again, I'm a firm believer in servant leadership, because servant leadership has principles of adaptive leadership, which means that I need to be able to adapt to whatever situation or whatever the needs and the goals are of the people that I'm actually serving. So today we went over 4 principles of leadership as it relates to leadership is both a mirror and a window. So number 1 was self-reflection and personal development. Number 2, emotional intelligence and self-awareness. Number 3, building collaborative relationships to serve others. And number 4, visionary leadership and strategic thinking. I hope this video added value, and if it did, share it with somebody else. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel so that you do not miss a message. As always, I hope you have a great week of teaching, leading, and learning. Take care.